You see, AEW fans, I didn't want to do this, man, but you drove me to this point. I was trying to avoid even bringing this up because I don't want to hurt your feelings. I don't want to hurt your enthusiasm for your makeshift company. But what I'm seeing in the comment section is like, all I'm seeing are AEW bots. All I'm seeing is repeat comments. It's like, you can't even give out fucking insults correctly. You suck at insults. All you do is repeat yourself. Oh, you're a mark for the WWE. Oh, you are defending a company that books bad television and shit. I'm like, okay. It's like you keep on repeating yourself. So I'm just numb to it now. But the one comment that got to me, it was about CM Punk. How you're saying Edge and The Miz copied MJF and CM Punk, right? Saying that, oh, the audience thought Edge and Miz sucked, right? Saying how, they was trying to be edgy and they failed, blah, 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 woo, woo, woo. But Edge had a line. All he said was he blamed The Miz for John Morris getting fired. Ain't that edgy? But you AEW fans thought that was going too far. Wow, that was going too far? That company has been firing people for fucking years. Get over it. Get a fucking new job. But you said that was below the belt. That was too far. I thought that was edgy. I thought you said that company was a kid's company. So when they try to be edgy, you think that's going too far. All he said was he blamed The Miz for getting his friend fired, which was facts. John Morrison failed on his own as a solo act. That was facts and evidence. Edge told no lies. You thought that was going too far? You thought that was cheap? You thought that was a cheap shot? So when they try to be edgy, you still give them shit for it. Okay. It seems like AEW walks on water, right? Let's talk about CM Punk. Let's go back to that overrated promo with him and MJF. It was a line that he said that really got to me, that really pissed me off, that really irked me, that people are ignoring. Triple H almost died. Let me say that 5 times. Triple H almost died. Triple H almost died. Triple H almost died. Triple H almost fucking died. That man almost died, man. He had a heart attack. He will never wrestle ever again. He's done. And I'm sure he probably would have one last match, but now he can't because he has a bad heart now. I heard he's in bad shape. He was on his deathbed. He had a cardiac arrest. He had a heart attack, right? And yet, CM Punk went from a bitter young man to a bitter, gray-bearded old man. Okay, the whole world knows Triple H almost died. He had a heart attack. And CM Punk chose to still take a shot at Triple H by saying this to MJF. He basically told MJF, if Tony Khan has a daughter, maybe you should marry her to get a better spot in the company. He said something very similar to that, didn't he? That was a shot at Triple H, okay? That man almost died. Why are you insulting Triple H? Once again, he almost died. But that promo was the best promo within the past 20 years? A bitter old man dissing A bitter old man dissing another old man who almost died from a heart attack. CM Punk still holds a grudge towards Triple H. So him almost dying didn't change your tune? You still chose to take a fucking shot at him just for a cheap pop? You used a man who was on his deathbed to further a storyline. You used Triple H's name to further a storyline. People knew who you was talking about, CM Punk. You basically said MJF should take a page out of Triple H's book. How about you marry the boss' daughter to get a better spot in the company? Why would you say that? How dare you diss a man on his fucking deathbed? But that's fine in AEW. Okay. Alright, but I'm the fucking hater, right? Like I said, I speak facts and evidence. And the facts say that promo was bad and awful. He went too far. So, CM Punk dissed a man on his deathbed who almost died from a heart attack. But everybody is in up in arms over Edge possibly hurting the feelings of fucking John Morrison. Ooh, Edge hurt the feelings of John Morrison, who was a grown ass fucking man who will get a better job in the next 50 fucking days. Ooh. You see what I'm saying? See the hypocrisy when it comes to this wrestling IWC bullshit? You see? Edge was wrong, right? But CM Punk is a god who dissed Triple H on his deathbed, who almost died from a heart attack. How about you ease up on Triple H? You see what I'm saying? See, I'm AEW's worst nightmare. And here's why. You see, when you push a man too far, I gotta go deep now. Dude, you know why Eric Bischoff went off on Tony Khan? When Tony compared himself to Ted Turner? Let me tell you why Eric Bischoff went off. Ted Turner was the owner of a successful baseball team in the 90s. The fucking Braves, the Atlanta Braves. Which pretty much led to an indication that WCW was going to be successful, which it was in the 90s. You see? Do you see the parallels? The Braves were a great team in the 90s. WCW was a great company in the 90s. So, how can Tony Khan compare himself to fucking Ted Turner? Ted Turner had proof he was great at running a business. He had proof that he was great at running a sports team, which led WCW to making great television during the fucking 90s, right? It went hand in hand. There was proof. Ted Turner knew how to run a business. He knew how to make a profit, right? Okay. Let's talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. The worst team in the NFL, hands down. Let me tell you how bad the Jaguars are. The Detroit Lions, since the year 2010, they have had a better record than the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's sad. The Jaguars are the worst ran franchise in all of the NFL. But for some reason, the AEW audience don't want to point out the dots. They don't see the parallels, right? Even though you should see the parallels. Because this has a lot to do with the XFL too. But I'm going to get to that. The Jaguars are the worst ran franchise in all of sports, in all of the NFL. Within the past 10 years, they have only had 2 good seasons. They have drafted awful, terrible players. Their undrafted free agents that they sign turn out to be better than their draft picks that they sign. Once again, that goes all the way to the higher ups. It's their fault. Last time I checked, Tony Khan qualifies as a higher up. He's in charge of that shit. He's in charge of signing coaches, drafting players. He's in charge of that. He has say so. Did you know the Jaguars are the cheapest team in the NFL? Here's what I mean by cheap. They don't sign big name free agents. In fact, they never re-sign their young, great players. They don't want to pay nobody big money. Ask Jalen fucking Ramsey of the Rams. The Jaguars had Jalen Ramsey, the best cornerback in the NFL, and he's still young. And yet they let him go because they didn't want to pay him money. They didn't want to pay him what he fucking deserved. Now he's on the Rams playing great. That's a prime example. They don't sign big name players because they are too cheap. They don't know how to run a sports team. It's nothing more than a hobby. The Jaguars are a toy to the Khan family. They don't take that team seriously. And guess what? They are the lowest profit-making team in the NFL. You don't believe me? Google it. They have the lowest ticket sales in all of the NFL. You know why? No? They signed Tim Tebow. And the only reason they signed Tim Tebow is because they wanted to sell tickets. Because nobody wants to buy tickets to the fucking Jaguars. They have the lowest audience when it comes to ticket sales every year. Nobody wants to buy tickets to watch the fucking Jaguars. That goes to the top. The higher ups. It's their fault. They don't do a great job on hiring the right people. They do a horrible job on drafting players. Let me get to the drafting part, which it connects to AEW's reputation. There's a guy a long time ago, maybe 10, 12 years ago. His name was Matt Jones out of Arkansas. He was a quarterback in college. The Jaguars drafted him to be a wide receiver, right? And guess what? The Jaguars didn't do no background checks on this guy. He had drug problems in college. And yet, they still drafted him in the first round. And guess what? He was suspended from the NFL because of his drug issues. He turned out to be a bust in the NFL, which makes him a wasted draft pick. They didn't do their due diligence on his background check. And guess what? They paid for it in the end because he turned out to be a bust. That sounds very familiar, but I'm going to go deeper. Years later, they drafted another wide receiver in the first round. He was a top 10 pick. I think he was a top 5 pick. His name was Justin fucking Blackman. Justin Blackman. He will go down as the biggest wide receiver bust in NFL history. And guess what? In college, he got arrested multiple times and he had drug and alcohol problems. He was a drug addict. He was an alcoholic. And yet they drafted him in the top 10 of the NFL draft. They didn't do no background checks. They took a huge chance on this guy. And guess what? They ended up paying for it. You know why? He's banned from the NFL. He only played 1 year. I think 1 or 2 years. Maybe I'm wrong. But 2 years, 1 year tops. And they suspended him because he failed multiple drug tests. And guess what? Now he's banned. He's never allowed back in the NFL. Which means he was a wasted draft pick, and now that set back the Jaguars franchise. Once again, they didn't do no background checks. They drafted a fucking drug addict. Let's go back to a guy by the name of Blake Bortles, another quarterback that they drafted in the first round back in 2014, 2013. He was a bust because they didn't do their background checks on how awful he was as a quarterback. They didn't do their background checks on the fact that he was a lazy quarterback who didn't want to get better. And now he's out of the NFL now. You see where I'm going with this? Now let's get back to the 2 drug addict wide receivers that they didn't keep tabs on, that they didn't really pay close attention to when they drafted them. They let them do their own thing. That sounds like Jon Moxley in AEW, don't it? How can you not know Jon Moxley had sobriety issues backstage? I'm pretty sure he was drunk backstage multiple times, Tony Khan. Why didn't you keep tabs on your top star? Why did you let him slide with his fucking alcohol problems, his sobriety problems? Why did you let that slide? How come you were so blinded? You ain't notice? I'm pretty sure you was drunk backstage multiple times. How can you ain't pick up on that? So, the point I'm trying to make is, let's get back to how the Jaguars are this year. Now, let's compare the Jaguars to the fucking Braves, the Atlanta Braves. Ted Turner's team. The Braves are one of the most successful baseball franchises of all time, thanks to Ted Turner, which translated into the success of WCW because he knew who and what to pay for and who to put in charge to run a sports franchise company. Tony Khan knows nothing about that. The Jaguars drafted a guy this year by the name of Trevor Lawrence. He is one of the worst rookie quarterbacks currently in the NFL. Wow. Y'all didn't do any background checks on this guy to realize he ain't that guy? Now, let's get back to the head coach that they hired. They hired a guy who has had health problems in the goddamn past. They signed a guy who is known for quitting on his teams to go get other better jobs. And there's a rumor going around that their current head coach will actually go back to college to coach because he can hack it in the NFL. They are the worst franchise currently in the NFL when it comes to their record. And they are ran by the Khan family. So, let's get back to the XFL. Do you know how hard it is to run a wrestling company and a football league, a football team at the same time? Ask Vince McMahon. You can't do both. You gotta pick one. You can't put your full energy into both. One of them are going to fail, which was the XFL. And yet, Tony Khan thinks he can do a better job than Vince McMahon. Dude, the Jaguars have been the worst franchise within the past 15 years. That's thanks to the Khan family, because they are cheapskates. They don't know how to run a sports team. They don't want to pay nobody no money. They are cheap. They don't know how to draft. They don't know how to sign. They have a horrible eye for talent. They release talent, and guess what? Their talent goes on to better teams and play better. They have a horrible eye for talent. That sounds like AEW, don't it? So, what makes you think? Let me say it again. What makes you think that the Khan family will run AEW way better than their horrible franchise, the Jacksonville Jaguars? Are you serious? That makes no sense. The Jaguars are an awful, terrible team with an awful record. They are the worst team in the NFL. Why would AEW be ran better than a $1 billion NFL franchise? That goes hand in hand. And what I'm being told is the Khans own a soccer team that has been horrible for the past 10 years also. So something's weird. So something's weird going on. How come these fans are not paying attention? Oh, right, because they live in a wrestling bubble. Financially, the Jaguars are the worst ran franchise in the NFL. Roger Goodell wishes he can fire Shad Khan as an owner, but he can't. That's how bad the Jaguars are. That's how bad a franchise they have been under the Khan family. They are lazy. They don't care about nothing else besides just having toys to play with. AEW is a toy. That's all it is. Tony Khan knows nothing. He is a loser. He comes from a loser environment. Don't you understand that? Tony Khan comes from a loser culture. The Jaguars are a loser culture. They never won a Super Bowl. They never go to the fucking playoffs. Every year they have a bad losing record. Last year, they had the worst record in the NFL. And guess what? This year, they have the same record, if not worse. I think last year they won 2 games, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. This year, they only won 1 fucking game. So what makes you think AEW don't have any parallels? If they can't run a successful NFL franchise, what makes you think they can run a wrestling company on a major network? If they can't run a damn Jaguars, they have a bad eye for talent when it comes to football players. So why would you think they would have a good eye for wrestling talent if they suck at signing great football players? Once again, Tony Khan is a part of that. He is a part of the Jacksonville Jaguars family. He is a part of who gets signed, who gets drafted. He has a hand in that. If the Jaguars are a trash franchise, why would AEW be any better than the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are the moneymakers for that family? AEW has a horrible future thanks to the Jaguars. The Jaguars are an indication AEW has an awful future lying ahead of them. Just look at the fucking Jaguars. Get out of your wrestling bubble and Google the Jaguars. Look how awful that franchise has been run for the past 10 years. If Tony Khan can't run a football company, what makes you think he can run a fucking wrestling company? That's why Eric Bischoff was insulted that he compared himself to fucking Ted Turner. You see where I'm going with this? The Braves were a competitive franchise in the 90s, right? WCW was a competitive company in the 90s, right? Same as the Braves, right? So why would AEW be a more successful company if the Jaguars are crap, are shit, are awful, terrible, trash? It goes hand in hand. If you got a company that's a loser company, most likely your other features, your other investments are going to be just as awful. It's called having a bad reputation for business. The Jaguars are currently 2-9. Okay? Last year, they won 2 games. I think 1 or 2 games. This year, same thing. If the Khan family can't run a football franchise, what makes you think they can run a fucking wrestling company? Vince McMahon proved to you he can't run a football league and a wrestling company at the same time and have both of them be successful all at once. You can't do it. Vince proved it. You can't do it. And that was back when the WWF was at the height of everything, and yet Vince couldn't do it. So what makes you think AEW is going to be any better? If the Jaguars are shit, why would AEW be any better? Look who's running both companies. Tony Khan. That's all I'm saying. I'm done.